Hello, this is Robin Barker, and I'm president of the League of Women Voters of Bellingham-Whatcom County. On Saturday, January 27th, 2024, a meeting of members included presentations from team leads and other volunteers about all the different activities that the league is doing and about some other functions and roles that require more help from volunteers. That portion of the meeting also featured a series of slides. The first explains how you can join one of the teams. We asked presenters to answer 3 questions. First, what does your team do? Second, why is this team and its activities important to you? Why do you find this work satisfying? What would you hope your team could do if you had more participation? So we had, and I'll be filling in with to talk about the functions and teams that have no specific person to lead them at the moment. I hope you'll be inspired to possibly donate some of your time to one of these important activities. So we'll get started with Annette Holcomb talking about the civics education team.
Second thing that we got busy with was that some of the teachers said they'd love to have public officials come to their classrooms to speak about their work, to help, encourage the students to understand how government worked. But they were so challenged by all of the work that they had to do day after day in the classroom. It was hard to just figure out who was willing to come, when to reach them, when they would be available, how to contact them. So we did that. We went to all of the public officials and said, are you interested in meeting in school civics rooms? And then we produced a resource list so that the teachers could see this person's available and this is how I contact them.
Nice.
And we are updating that now to reflect some of the changes with the current election. We also have a few league members who are willing to go to classrooms to talk about the importance of voting, for example. We have one outstanding member, Kit Millman, who's met with several classes to talk about how does ranked choice voting work. And she's our most popular speaker at this point. So those are 2 of the projects that we've done. We are also planning a civic education program to connect with our Whatcom Community College college students and young voters, and even you. And you will be invited to this program and learn more about it coming up in the spring. So if we had more people volunteering, I think we could produce additional high quality programs like the one we have coming up. And we could even provide some financial help to teachers for their own projects that they envision. And if you want to buy one of these fabulous books, I'll tell you, the reading level for 6th grade and up is perfect. You can order this from the Washington State League's website.
You might mention our media spots that we're working on.
Oh, yes. Well, I think I've overdone my time, but soon to be released media spots on the social media. Question?
No, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Well, I want to talk briefly about communications. I believe that communications is a critical part of our league work. Because what difference does it make when we have these great programs like the one that's coming up that Civics Education is organizing, but nobody sees them, or 50 people see them out of a population of 220,000 people in this county. While we meet many members of the public face to face by tabling at a variety of locations and events, we can also expand our influence by spreading the word through a variety of communications channels. Now, we do have Carolyn Stewart on contract with us for 5 hours a week to do social media. So that area we're pushing that as hard as we can. Having a communications coordinator on the board is essential, I think, to ensure that our communications are directed towards board and team priorities. The communications coordinator is responsible for viewing all league activities with a PR lens. They lead a team of volunteers who carry out specific PR tasks. So, for example, the voter editors. They will work with Carolyn, the contractor responsible for social media and press releases. And finally, they develop a mini communications plan for the promotion of each league and issue team event or priority. So if our priority is to do a big push on a particular subject, we can, this person can kind of organize the steps that need to be taken to do that. So these are the activities that would be involved, including the voter and any e-blast that we decide to send. Our events that are posted on the website calendar with associated announcements. Relations with news media, and this is one place where I don't think we're doing anything in a really concerted way. That means contacting reporters in each of the medias and finding out what's the best way to get our information into their publications. So developing those relationships, press releases, social media, and then finally website content in coordination with the webmaster. So helping me, with providing content that I can put on the website. So for the time being, I'm serving in this role as best I can, although I don't always think of league activities with VR lens. I have other ways of looking at things. Anyway, I do this because I think it's critical for the league. And if you're looking for a job that really matters, I'd love to talk to you about this one. A communications background isn't necessary at all. And I certainly don't have one. So I think if we had a board member with this focus, we could get better coverage in the local news media to start with. And it'd be great if we were able to post more non-league events on our website. So there's other kinds of things we could do, I think, if we had somebody in that position. So next is Minda Ray, you're talking about election forums.
Well, I was very happy to see so many comments about democracy and fostering our democracy in our brainstorming session. And the election forums, I think, are at the heart of our mission to have informed citizens ready to vote and eager to vote. And at present, the forums are managed by a small team of wonderful women. Different members of the team are responsible for different parts of the forum activity. And that there is a huge number, last year it was 53 volunteers doing different little lesser jobs like ushering or moderating or timing an election forum on Zoom or in person. And the team at present really needs somebody who would take charge of locating venues and the setup at venues to the extent that we have in-person forums this coming fall, where the people up for election will be our representatives in Olympia, mainly. And I've heard rumors that there may be 6 propositions on the ballot, and those may need some explication for the general public as well. So we need such a person, and we also need a person to work with Eileen on candidate contact. She has been the person on the team who has contacted the candidates to appear in the forums, answered their questions, considerable, mostly email correspondence. So we need somebody who's willing to work with Eileen because she has other responsibilities as well. She's our membership chair at present, and she really needs somebody to work with her on contact with candidates. So those are my 2 specific asks, and anybody who is who has not worked with the forum team in the general group before, is welcome to come and sign up for the list and be ready to hear from somebody in August or July.
Thank you. Is Cam here?
Yes.
By Zoom?
Oh, she is.
Okay, then we turn it over to Cam to talk about get out the vote and voter registration.
Okay, thank you very much for letting me speak. As you can see here on the slide, we have approximately 8 really dedicated members that work with me. This is not a one-man show. And our focus is, of course, to educate, inform, and register all residents in Whatcom County, 16 and above, because our 16 and 17-year-olds can be pre-registered, and as soon as they turn 18, then they're automatically put into the voter registration pool. And I was told that at 5 a.m., when these students turn 18, that's when they're eligible to vote. So it's very automated and helpful. All of our team members each have a different focus. Some are involved in our high school or our higher education. We're real strong at Western and at the community college. We really need work with our at BTC and our Indian college. But we have somebody that focuses on libraries and the underserved. So we're covering a lot of avenues, and there's probably some that we aren't reaching out to that we could do more of. We have 100 plus on a volunteer list. When I need people to help us, I just send an all call out to anyone on this 100 plus list and say, if you're available on such and such day, where it is, the time requirement and such. And then people just respond to me. We, as far as the activities that are important to me, I think that our whole group is very caring and committed and want the best for Whatcom County as far as health, well-care, but everyone to be registered to vote. I think it's real critical. We have a huge presence on our high school campuses. We've just worked with the auditor, trying to get our schools, all of our schools, to get a vote link on their websites. The auditor works really well with us. We have a new auditor this year, Stacy Henthorn, and she was like second in command with Diana before. And so it's just a seamless move this year into with a new auditor. We in that area, we still are having difficulty with some of our young voters, and that's come up. I know we're on the campus at WU at Western. We were there 4 or 5 days even prior to the election in November, when we couldn't register. All we could do is answer questions. So we're really trying to focus on that piece. And if we had more people, I think we could just spread the wealth around. And there might be areas we aren't reaching that with more participants, volunteers, we could actually maybe reach some areas we aren't aware of that we need help in. But this is a great group of people to work with, and nobody has to carry the load by themselves. There's lots of people that we all work together on this. And so anybody that's interested, all you have to do is email me and I'll find you a slot. And we are already started. Our high school we've got people that come to us now. I feel really proud of the efforts we've made there. Ferndale High School, we got snowed out the first time we were supposed to be there a couple weeks ago. Our Jean went the other day to Ferndale High School. I've actually had an elementary school just reach out to me. Thankfully, another league member contacted me. Would we do some stuff with an elementary school with a PTA? So I'm going to go Thursday and talk to this elementary school. It's in Fairhaven, their elementary school there, and talk to their PTA about voting and how they can help. That's about it. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Cam. Next up is membership, and that's also by Zoom. So Eileen, over to you.
Thanks, Robin. Sorry I couldn't be there. I'm in Montana with family. But just a little background, membership has not been I hesitate to use the word team, but we have not been a team. It's just been me, because when I came on the board, I asked Robin what she needed. And at that point, she recognized a need for what between she and I, we called member engagement. And if you remember, we were coming out of COVID and people were able to start getting back together again. And so I organized some coffees and some happy hours, potluck, so that people could have a place to touch base and make a connection within the league. I can tell you that member engagement, I think, is bigger than that. I think it's a chance for members to come and network among each other. So the different teams work together. They learn from each other. We've had teams come to coffees and happy hours and, for instance, ranked choice voting. We have done exercises, and so it can also become a place where members can educate other members. So member engagement, we have been doing. I have a lot more value for it, I guess, than I did when we first started. But member engagement is kind of where it started. And then in the last year, I've recognized that there are a lot of other things that we need to be doing to support the league and our membership. And so these other things are things that I've kind of put my head around in the last year, things that a membership team or committee could do. So the second one is recruiting new members and volunteers. And like Robin said, this is a big election year. We're either going to wake up in November, December, January timeframe and have so many people we don't know what to do with it, or we won't. But I can tell you that we have 3, 4, 5 people every month that join the league. And those individuals are just as important. And it is difficult as a new member to figure out how the league works and how to get involved. So in the past, we have had a onboarding, like a PowerPoint that we've done, but a group of people could get together and decide the best way to get new people going, such that it could be like a mentoring program, it could be a PowerPoint and a Zoom meeting. But right now I just call new people and chat with them or meet with them or coffee, find out what they're interested in, direct them to the right place. But I don't think what I'm doing now is really very adequate. So I think that's like one of our biggest things that we could do this year in support of new people coming on. The last thing, number 4, is implement recognition and gratitude program. So we do recognize members at our member meeting in June, but we need to do that more than once a year. There are a lot of people who are contributing in ways that are helping our issue teams make huge progress in our community, or in our kind of progressing our league business, like newsletters and other administrative work. that are kind of the unsung heroes of League. And some people really appreciate a thank you and a little bit of recognition of the effort that they have put out. So I would like to somehow implement a program where we can pat each other on the back and celebrate the good stuff that we do. So that's kind of what I'm thinking for a membership team. I'm just looking for 2-3 people. A lot of these things are just things that are something that needs to be thought about and implemented, and then keeping them going, I don't think is a huge effort. But your contribution on the membership team could be really, I think, however much time and whatever energy you have. So I appreciate you either contacting me or see Robin after the meeting since I'm not there.
So, yeah, we've got a few more to do here and minutes or 20 minutes or so to do this. Let's get going. Next is climate. So, Jay, you want to talk a little bit about climate change? If you can project, you can type it. Okay. I'll give it a try. Can you hear me? Oh, I got it. Okay, climate.
Can't hear.
Can you hear me? Climate, now can you hear me?
Barely.
That's odd. I think it's in front of it. It's
That's better.
that's where you're standing. Okay, climate may seem kind of a weird thing for the League women voters, but the environment has always been one of the big things that the League has studied and has all sorts of positions on it. And even the National League has lots of stuff on climate, as we complain sometimes about, we're doing it all at the grassroots level. In our climate group, we were very involved in the GPT thing. We were one of the people that were the stakeholders in it, because in the beginning, we were the ones that, thanks to Tanya Baumgart mostly, was involved as her husband was a fisherman, and she saw the writing on the wall with the Chicago Bridge and Iron way back when, those of you who were here. This went on for a long time before we got involved, and we were at all the lawyer meetings and everything else. And in the end, of course, it was elimination that really saved us. So we did a lot of work on that. Same with GPT. Oh, do you know what GPT is? Did you hear? Okay. We moved on to doing other things. And in the last 2 years, we've been studying the toxic effects of plastic on our health and on our environment. And we've done a lot of study and work. We've almost done a study ourselves, but not a leak study, but the climate study. It's our climate group. It's not just a litter problem, we found out. It's a toxic mix of forever chemicals. And from its beginning, coming from the frack gas that it's made from, it goes into a manufacturing process where it leaks methane. And it goes to a finished product, which is still leaking methane, which is the second biggest greenhouse gas in the world. So it's something that's very serious, and we became affiliated with a nationwide advocacy group, Beyond Plastics, and we've gotten a lot of information. They have everything. They have speaker groups, they have connections with many other groups across the country, including lots of other leagues that belong, local leagues that belong to Beyond Plastics too. So that's been a real help to us. And we have an excellent person in our group, Vicki, who has done a tremendous amount of work on providing this information in a user-friendly way. That's perfect. And if you go to our website, you don't want to even know more about it, look at some of the work that Vicki has done and put up there. So I heard somebody say that people are coming to you now. We had a gal come to us from the Congregational Church at our last big meeting, who said,
We want you to be our mentor. We want our church to be plastic free. And so they are working very hard in that church on various things. They used a lot of our materials. And they invited us to be at their program they're gonna do on Earth Day, which is great for us because they're doing all the setup and the venue and everything, and we don't have to pay for it this time, which we have in the past. And to help them and to also to present these posters. And they were very interested in something that we did last year. We had a wonderful program, which was attended by about 100 people, and I wish there had been 300 people there. It was a beautiful movie on what the Vancouver Aquarium Group is doing to save animals from mostly plastic. And, you know, they go out and rescue these animals and rehabilitate them and bring them back into the world. And the head of that program was there as a speaker. We also had a man who was there who spoke on picking up all the crab traps and fishing stuff that's so much plastic involved, that's on the bottom of the Salish Sea. And they have done a huge job in picking that stuff up because it's killing not only the bigger animals that we think of seals and things like that getting caught up in this stuff, but crabs and things like that. They pick crab pots off the floor where the crabs have gotten into these things and died because they couldn't get out, and you know, it's a waste of crabs and so forth. Okay. I can go on. So these are some of the speakers that we put forward, and we work hard doing this, putting on programs. We also had a plastic man, and maybe you know Michael J, who was perfect, and we dressed him in plastic. I mean, covered with plastic, and we took them around in different venues during the city's week of climate in the fall. And Michael is again going to be at this meeting that we're going to have in April. So there are all these kind of things that we're doing that yes, we can use more volunteers. We have a core of really committed people that have been very helpful, but we could always use more. And it's an important thing in getting the education out. And I'm happy to say that I feel like the progress is being made on that front. And there isn't a global climate treaty that's coming up. Our next meeting is next week. We meet on Fridays at 9:30 in the morning. And we're going to have somebody talk about the Green Amendment to the Constitution. 3 states have this amendment, 14 are working on it. It's our speaker will be talking about it. So anybody who's interested in that, we welcome you. We welcome anybody to come. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm very short, try to keep it 2 minutes. Next is healthcare over there, Marianne, Zoom.
Okay, I will be quick. What do? We're interested in health issues, health, both physical health, medical issues, and behavioral health and substance abuse issues. We have a very broad interest. In the past, we've done things with healthcare and climate change because it overlaps in other areas, healthcare and housing. In fact, there's a member right now who's working on finding a way to provide affordable housing for the caretakers who provide the healthcare for people in our county. We've more recently we've been trying to talk with Peace Health, learn about what they're doing, and they recently closed some programs trying to understand what is going on, how the program that replaced the palliative care that was closed, what is that going to be like? And then we're going to have the CEO from Peace Health Northwest come talk to us about Peace Health in general, an extremely important issues in our area because Peace Health provides the majority of healthcare in our county. What we need, we need people who are passionate about some aspect of healthcare. in the past, we've broken into these kind of small informal groups to get things done. Things like the Ann Deacon Crisis Center, dental therapists. We have someone who's passionate about that and has worked on getting that through. Behavioral health. Amanda already mentioned the person who's working on housing for caregivers. We need, if you have an interest anywhere, come join us. You'll find someone else who's also, in fact, many people probably who are interested in that, and we'll help you further that interest and make a difference in your community. So I would encourage you to join us. Bring your passions, your interests, your skills, everything you've got, and we'll make use of that. Our next meeting will be in February. We meet on the third Monday of the month. It'll be a Zoom meeting, and very soon there'll be information about that meeting coming out. You're welcome. Please join us. Thank you.
Next, Donna's gonna talk about our nascent
Yes.
housing team.
Okay, there you go. Suri's done this part of it, so I will leave that to her. We're actually in the process of doing an education program for ourselves and anybody who wants to participate. We're meeting at the fourth Tuesday on Zoom at 4:30, 3:30, excuse me, 3:30, 4:30. So if you're interested, please feel free to tune in at any time. We're trying to educate ourselves for the next 6 months because the topic is so vast. And there was information that is online from last year that's very helpful. We're also trying to post, we're a member of the Whatcom County Housing Alliance, and so we're utilizing theirs. Their training programs they just did one year a couple days ago with the transportation department, which was excellent. They've got another one coming up February 1st. With the director of client services for Spokane, and that it should be excellent because they've done a great deal of work there. We haven't figured out how to narrow down a subject yet. That's going to be something we will need to do if we're going to focus, but it is so broad. In fact, one of the things that we have talked about is just having maybe a program where with all of the other programs that we have, because housing impacts voter registration, it impacts healthcare, it impacts everything that we advocate for. So it is that critical. So if you're interested. What day was the meeting? Fourth Tuesday at 3:30. You can find it online as well. See, it's right up there. On Zoom. Siri's got it all set up. I tune in. Just like the rest of you.
We do try to have all of our meetings on our calendar on our website. So go to the calendar, it's under, what is it? News and events or something like that. And then there's a calendar, an events list, the calendar, yeah.
So like I say, if you have any more questions, feel free to get in touch with one of us.
Okay, next is racial equity and healthy democracy, and that's Carol. Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped over budget, but Carol's ready, I think. We'll go back and pick up.
I don't know what happened. Shovia didn't make it, so I wasn't really prepared as much. But our mission statement is to inspire courageous conversations related to building a just and equitable community that incorporates a commitment to equity, inclusion, and social justice pertaining to issues of race, income disparity, age, sexual orientation, gender identity, religion, disability, into the league's procedures, policies, positions, public education, and advocacy. Well, it's a little crazy, but we're trying and we're rebuilding and we're trying to figure out how we fit. And we certainly would like to do more collaboration with all these other teams that are doing amazing work. I mean, we should sort of try and have one big meeting a month or maybe where we collaborate because it all goes together. We're trying really hard to build connections and links with minority communities of all kinds in our community. And I was very gratified. So many people came out to hear Jason McGill from Northwest Youth Services, amazing speaker, and came to help. We have another special event that we're trying to organize. It's so hard, not online, in person. So we're going to do one on the 24th of February in the afternoon, probably at Whatcom, with Remy Sturk, who's a young Black queer filmmaker who I've heard speak here at Buck before. He's amazing. He did a local movie on Juneteenth using all kinds of people from our Black community and our Whatcom community. Wonderful, wonderful people, wonderful. He's a wonderful person to hear speak, and I hope that people come out. They'll be in person. It's hard to say if they'll be on Zoom because of the issues around the film and the location. So we also then have coming up our uplifting the BIPOC community in June. That's still coming together. We could still use more help for that event. A lot just being inspired. What are the groups you know? What are the links you have in this community? What organizations would you want brought forward? And I really hope this year we can get a good representation from all of you wonderful committee issue groups in this organization, because you need to be there. We need to be, part of our mission is to open ourselves to that dialogue and to that joy, really. And so I'm sorry Sophia couldn't be here to add, but that's probably enough. We're always glad to have more people too, and we're always glad to, I'm really inspired by all of your work and your articulateness. I feel like I'm half asleep after I've been gone, but thank you very much for your time and for being here. Take care.
So I'm sorry to do this to you, Siri. We're going back to budget. Yeah, budget and fundraising.
I'll be quick.
I know. Thanks.
So the budget committee, we prepare a budget for the 24-25 year, and it includes estimates of incomes and expenses, considering both the fiscal accountability of the board and the membership. And the issue teams is presented to the board, and then we present it to the membership at the annual meeting in June. Our budget committee consists of me, the treasurer, which we're looking for another treasurer the next year. And the president, which is a non-voting person, and 2 or 3 other people that are appointed by the board from the general membership. And one of those people becomes the chairperson for that. We also have an investment committee that recommends how we invest our money, basically in CDs. We've had a couple of requests over the years, and that we get interest and some money from those. So the investment committee advises the board on that. There's other possibilities for volunteers. We currently have a review committee. Cindy helps with that right now. And we also have a person who volunteers to pick up the mail and deposit it. So we have a separation of responsibilities. So I'm not doing that. So that's a good thing. If we had more people that wanted to participate in the finances, one would be fundraising. We've never really, since I've been here for 6 years or whatever, never really done any fundraising. And the US League they're changing how the membership fees are going to be done coming the end of this year, the next year. It's all going to be done at the US level. It's going to funnel down to us. So we don't know how that's all going to work. They really don't know how it's all going to work, but it could be an opportunity to do some fundraising to keep us as viable as. There's a lot of questions on that, but another thing that if somebody was interested in is grant writing. We have an educational fund through the state league. We have to write a grant to get that money out of there. We have our own money there, but it has to be, a grant has to be written for that. There's also grant opportunities at the state level and at the US level. So if somebody's interested in grant writing, that would be an opportunity. So There you go. And there's FUN of the D, there's fun in this.
Okay, so I'm gonna quickly talk about. I'm gonna quickly talk about a position that is currently vacant. This is the advocacy position on the board. It's been vacant ever since Cindy Madigan moved on to work with issues at the state level, so it's your fault, Cindy. For a long time, I wondered what that person should be doing, but after more than a year as president, here's what I think now. The advocacy portfolio requires attention to local political activities and or attention to state or national league political initiatives. In the latter case, all members receive regular newsletters from the state and national league, so we don't have to tell you anything about it. You're already hearing about it. But the advocacy board member can assist the board in bringing attention to the most important state and national league political activities. So I don't know how many of you are aware that a couple of years ago, the National League volunteered, decided on a big lift, which was to abolish the electoral college. So, stuff like that needs to be, I think it could use for some reinforcing, basically. In all the stuff you get, somebody should need to pick through that and say, hey, it did this. They should, the advocacy board member can assist the board by bringing attention to the most important state and national league political activities, and they might be the one who participates in LWVUS field calls on advocacy, which I think sounds interesting. I've never done it, but it sounds like it would be interesting. They should monitor local political activities and advise the board as to when it should advocate for a position. So if something is going on locally and you think the league should take a stand on that, that's something that person would do, or that team. The advocacy board member might assume responsibility for soliciting or writing fact-based articles about the local election procedures and assist with the development of other communications regarding the league's positions, voting, and elections. The advocacy member might also oversee the observer corps, about which I'm going to speak in a minute. And the advocacy member should have a team, if possible, to help with all these activities. There isn't really anyone on the board with that focus right now, but the nominating committee is working to recruit new board members. And so if you would like to follow politics, and legislation, this might be a good fit for you. Like a communications coordinator, this might be an opportunity to make a big impact, I think. I just discovered that LWVUS has created an online advocacy 101 modules tool, which sounds kind of interesting. So if you don't know anything about advocacy, you can get some training there, on your own. But if you'd like more information, you're interested, that's someplace you could try. In general, if you think, oh, gee, I'm interested in this subject, but I don't know how to be a leader, we can help you with that. It's not that hard, and we provide lots of support. So if you want to contact the members, fine, we can send out an e-blast. Just let me know, and I will walk you through the process. Like I said, we have lots and lots of abilities to organize. We have a Zoom account. We can tell you how to get that set up if you want to have a Zoom meeting. It's fine. It's not hard at all. The next thing I want to talk about is program. So we are also lacking a program team lead. While it might not be essential that the program team lead be on the board, if not, that person would need to keep in close contact with one of the other board members so we know what's happening. Briefly, the program team lead is responsible for overseeing a team of volunteers who organize general educational programs outside of those organized by other teams. That includes the 3 required member meetings, the agenda for which is developed in coordination with the board and the president. So a meeting like this would help organize that. The program team lead includes the events hospitality coordinator, who is set to go right now. As I understand it, for many years before COVID, there was a program committee who organized many of you probably remember this. They organized general member or public programs beyond the 3 member meetings required by the bylaws. We haven't had anyone in that position since COVID. So I might mention that the program committee of the Bellingham City Club, for example, discusses various topics for their programs, but the responsibility for recruiting speakers is rotated among the members. So no one member has to do all the work. So we need someone to kind of, organize it and then recruit a few members and then kind of share out the work as we do on a lot of other teams. So if you want to help coordinate the program committee or be on the program committee, let me know. I'm trying to press through this, I'm talking really fast. Okay, the last thing I want to talk about was the Observer Corps. So the board has been discussing off and on implementing an Observer Corps. So what's that, you ask? That's an effort to increase civic engagement by encouraging league members to attend public meetings and report back. So members can attend public meetings in person or online, take notes, and then fill out a short form on the league's website. And those reports will be posted. One idea is that we want public officials to know that the league is watching. But we also want to make it easier for people to know what's happening in the public arena, right? Originally, we thought we would start small by focusing on public meetings related to housing, but that didn't generate a lot of interest. I'm not sure why. So the board needs to think about revising the scope of the activity. So we're going to be talking, the board's going to be talking about this a little further, especially since we'd like to use the website's volunteer module, which some of you have encountered before, to let members sign themselves up for meetings that they're interested in reporting in. So you go to the website, sign up, I'm going to be at this city council meeting, whatever it is, and then fill out the form afterwards. So we're trying to make it as simple as possible. We will be looking for a dedicated group of members to coordinate the volunteer opportunities or public meetings, that is the public meetings, for the volunteer page, review the reports, make sure that they're not saying anything untoward, write articles for the voter, and identify any potential action items for the board or issue teams. So you can get communication with us. This is just a heads up. Hopefully you'll hear more later, but if you're interested, please sign up.
Brian, you
Yeah.
might mention that you can watch those meetings on Zoom too, you don't have to go to them. I mean, it's nice if you will.
Oh, yeah, they can be, most public meetings are,
Right.
all public meetings are available online or by in person, so, yeah. Women's economic security, did you want to talk about a little bit briefly about that?
I would be great.
Okay,
See, there's already something here.
yeah,
So this group has been inactive for the last couple of years, but our concerns and work on behalf of women's economic security is still alive. About the last major study, I think Robin mentioned this, the last major study that this league did was about women's economic security. And this was in 2014, 2015. This is a copy of the wonderful report that was produced, giving a snapshot of the situation of the problems that women face in Whatcom County. And in that report, we focused on healthcare, housing, food, childcare, education, transportation. These are things that people need to have better if they're going to achieve financial and economic security. Following the publication of our report, our members all got together, we discussed what had been learned, and we updated our position, our policy position on these aspects of society. So we continue to educate ourselves about that. We continue to advocate for improvements. We had an advocacy chair and an observer corps. There's a lot of opportunity there. As an example of what the league has done recently, they endorsed the Whatcom County Proposition 5 to raise funds for children. Because we had that position, we could do that. And our housing group, we're very happy that that has been revived so that now we can follow housing issues that are here in our county as well. The healthcare and the REHD groups are also carrying forward based upon what we believe on our social service, women's economic security position. So one other thing, this is not a women's issue. When women rise in their community, all of the community rises. Thank you.
okay, thank you very much, Ned. And I just have to say that it is still listed on our website as a committee, but it is not going to be there much longer. the position and the documentation will still be on the website. It will not be listed as an active committee unless someone steps forward and says that they want to take this on.
But they can still find this.
Yes,
right? Through the
yes.
website?
It's on the position page.
That document has been used by almost all of our major governmental centers around here. Not for what
It was.
it has become the base for what decisions are being made.
And that's what happens when you do a program of work.
Yeah.
Where are you gonna find it on the website?
It's on our position page. So if there's an about link and one of those says positions. So go down there and it's kind of down the screen a little bit, but it's
So
down.
they can link to the actual report.
I think so. I'll have to double check. I will double check and make sure. If we have it, it was still digitally available at any time, I did put it on there. And finally, I want to say, if there's any other subject that you think the league should work on, you're passionate about. No, I'm serious. It just takes a few passionate individuals to do something. I mean, the league's national and state positions are lengthy.
Yeah.
So the way to get started on something you're interested in is to find out what the positions are, the league in that area. And then if you feel that the league should have a position and maybe there's a gap, that's something that we work on. But the league, if you want to organize a new group, there's a form on the website for requesting a new group. And then the board will consider it. And if they decide to go ahead, we'll help you get organized. So, like I said, it just takes a few passionate people to get going on something. Before we continue, I want to thank Setsuko and Elaine and Siri for their help in organizing this event, and the board members who worked on the agenda with me and helped set up this room. And I know that, as I said, a great number of you are already contributing your time and effort. I really appreciate that.
Do you have a moment for Carol to introduce herself and just mention that the nominating committee is starting?
Yes, hang on just a second. So I just wanted to say, I appreciate all of the efforts you're making, and we need you all because what we do matters. So before I introduce Carol, I will say each team lead, everyone who's spoken today has a sign-up sheet in front of them. And I have all the rest up here. And so if at the end, when we wrap it up, if you have a minute, you can come over and talk to whoever you want to talk to a little bit more about their group and sign up if you want some more information, just your name and your email address. So that's it. Before we wrap up, Carol, you want to talk briefly about nominations? Carol? Oh.
The nominating committee will be contacting most of you personally. Because one of the things we want to make sure of is that we have a real strong base, that our board is fully, there. And is fully involved in what's going on. And apparently there's been some openings on the board, and so we're gonna be talking to you and asking you to vote for recommendations and your willingness to take on one of the jobs for us, okay? That's it.
Thank you.
Oh, wait a minute, one more. We have almost 250 members in our league. If you know someone that is a member or isn't a member, encourage them to do some of these things. We love the financial support, but we also love the physical support.
Yeah, we appreciate everybody's effort. So that's it, and we'll have a few more minutes to chat with your colleagues, and we'll see you in June.
Okay.